The following is a presentation of TFNN. Live at TFNN, the Power Trading Hour, with your host, David White. Now, the author of The Path of Least Resistance and the Tech Insider, David White.
And as we join another beautiful day out here, the 23rd of July, we're seeing a market that's somewhat flat. I suspect we'll be moving here before the end of the day. This is the end of option rollover. S&P pretty flat, Dow up 43. We've got the off a point on the S&P cash and off a little more than 10 points on the NASDAQ as we start the show. On this day in 1976, members of the American Legion arrive in Philadelphia to celebrate the bicentennial of U.S. independence. Soon after, many began suffering from a mysterious form of pneumonia. About 200 plus that got sick. About 36 died. Of course, most of these people at American Legion are not spring chickens, and were very susceptible to it. After the issue, they found out that there was a bacteria that would grow in air conditioning systems, especially the swamp cooler kind on top of buildings. And if conditions are just right, I think it has to be within a couple degrees. Also, the pH factor of the water in the swamp cooler has to be just about right. So if all the planets align, and it's a very narrow range, this bacteria will grow extremely quickly. And if I remember, it was Philadelphia, I guess. Anyway, these giant swamp coolers that were cooling the building grew what became, I think, a Legion coccus or something. They named it after the Legionnaires itself, but a bacteria that would grow and presented itself much like pneumonia. But up to that point, it had gone greatly undiagnosed in a great deal of many people. People would just get sick and they did not know why. But actually, the occurrence saved a lot of people later in life. But once they got to the idea of why it was happening in air conditioning systems. But it still happens every year, and 15 people, 100 people a year are diagnosed with it every year. It's kind of interesting. Of course, everybody's wondering what the baby is going to be named. And, of course, it's been all over the news. And I have to tell you that the name is Vixen. Yes, I am actually talking about my little puppy. We talked about naming her last week, and we are actually I'm going to name her Vixen and call her Vix for short. But the total 1.5 pound mixed terrier that sits at my feet during the show here, I'm going to just call her a Vix. But I figured I had to name her today. Because, of course, there's such a big deal over naming the new royal. And I've kind of always just wondered why we're so wrapped up in royal politics on this side of the pond. I thought we had a big war to get rid of all that. Oh, well, we move on. Netflix, of course, came out with earnings last night. NFLX, get a current quote. But when it comes down to it, it's not off $9. No big deal. I was hoping it would actually gap up and, maybe 300, 310 and set up a three-gap play. Maybe that is coming later. But they'd spent all this money on putting together the reboot of a show on television that wasn't that successful, but had a very narrow market that people liked it, and the demographic was right. But they were looking for 600,000 new subscriptions compared to the 900,000 that everybody was expecting. So they were looking for 900,000, got 600,000. And the other thing is that Netflix doesn't want anybody asking any pesky questions. So what they did was get away with changing an analyst that had a huge buy-side bias on the program, and basically a quote journalist that maybe not be totally impartial, maybe the most gracious way of saying it, and asking Netflix managers a variety of questions. My guess is that they were all talked about and rehearsed before the deal. Of course, Netflix continues to push the idea that we talked a little bit about it yesterday, that they can amortize the cost of their content over a much longer time than it is actually used up, and with some of the other contracts. Off $9, not a big deal out here. Is King Carl ready to dump his shares? I suspect not. I think that there is one more gap in it, maybe even if it takes into this fall. But if you do any Google searching on it, you'll see Netflix is, for the most part, pretty well analyzed, and depending on who you look at or talk to, the highest model and the most optimistic model would have this thing selling in about 4 years at about $80. So, we've got some bubbles pointing up here and there, and Netflix, of course, is the poster child, I suspect, right now for ludicrously expensive stocks. And the question I would ask yesterday during the earnings chat would have been, how much did you pay, or how much are you going to have to pay Disney to get their entire catalog? And I think if we get that number, or when we get that number, or when it's hinted at or leaked, is when Netflix comes back somewhere between the $80 and $30 range. The idea that they can just print money like a software company is not correct. They don't own all the content, and that is going to be one of their weak links. The other thing I always have a problem with is if you're Amazon, you can do the exact same thing. If you're IBM, you can do the same thing. If you're Microsoft, you can do the same thing. Theoretically, or not even untheoretically, if you are a content provider, we'll say a la Fox, do you want to give one single network the power to turn you on or turn you off? And the answer is no. You want to have all these people fighting over your content and multiple streams. So if one person doesn't pay you, you have a couple more to give you that. One of the first things I learned when I went to the branch of Scientific Atlanta was just that. That unfortunately we had to deal with Time Warner, and they wanted us to build a special box for them. And what happened when they decided that, one, they didn't want to build anymore, and basically gave us a one-handed salute? What do you do? And the answer is, this is going to have to be your customer in the future. You really can't do anything. You have a single customer. You don't own them, they own you. And I think that especially in the video part of content, these guys in movies and television have learned a lot about what went wrong when music went streaming, and just the infinitesimal amount of money that is now flowing now that that we're off the, for the most part, radio model of them getting a quarter each time their song's been played. I saw some things in the news last week that basically said one guy who had his song streamed 3 million times got $14.95 as the author of the song. If he would have had it played 100,000 times on radio, he would have gotten, I forget what it was, 100 or 200 times as much. So the question is just, how good a model for making money streaming is, and I still see all the problems left over from audio streaming or music streaming that has been there. Anyway, Netflix down just a little. I suspect that if you believe Carl Icahn, he hasn't sold a share, and I probably going to say that he doesn't. But the next move in this stock probably going to be the one where he does start selling. Broadcom earnings, they are after the bell today, but Texas Instruments, they basically said last night in their earnings call that they are making a giant license to a big manufacturer. Everybody took that to mean Apple. And, of course, Broadcom chips are used in, at least for the wireless part of the Apple iPhones. So the idea was that Broadcom would be coming out if Texas Instrument is going in. Part of what Apple is doing is going to be consolidating chips. Broadcom was selling their individual chips, and I suspect didn't want to give all the information to Apple on how they designed their chips. They just wanted to supply their chips, and Broadcom's off pre-earnings. Again, earnings are tonight off 4%, down $1.31 so far. So kind of interesting for a stock that is going to be out tonight. Pretty much the other parts of the news, we saw Google come out, and of course they said that they fired 5,400 employees wrapped around Motorola and the whole Droid initiative. Verizon and Motorola were showing their brand new Droid Ultra and Droid Max and a Droid Mini to basically a product line that was already a year old, last year's Droid Razr, and its HD Max. Motorola said at the event the Ultra's main selling point is its thinness, while Max yet again promises absurdly long battery life, up to 48 hours. They also have the Mini. These things are going to be $100, $200, and $300 from Verizon. Look like standard, pretty nice phones. They're not making super phones out here like the S4 or the high-end Apple iPhone 5. Of course, I talked a little bit about it in the Tech Insider on Friday, and the delays to what is going to be the iPhone 5S or the 6 or whatever they call the next version of the iPhone, but talked about what was changing in that part of the market. Anyway, we are going to break. You can always give me a call at 877-927-6648. That's 877-927-6648. I would appreciate your call, and I appreciate you listening. We'll be back in just a moment.
With over 3 decades of commodity trading experience, Andy Hecht has developed a system that combines both technicals and fundamentals. He calls this approach Technomental, and now you can put it to work for yourself with his brand new service, the Technomental Commodity Report. In this weekly newsletter, which comes out each Thursday morning, Andy gives you his analysis of the market price direction bias using fundamentals, and then specific trade recommendations including entry and exit points using technicals. The recommendations in the newsletter are always based on stocks and ETFs, so a futures account is not required, and Andy will often use options in the recommendations as well. Andy will tell you where to get in, where to get out, and he'll outline the risk-reward profile for all recommendations. To get your month-long free trial to the Technomental Commodity Report by Andy Hecht while locking in the low introductory rate, visit the front page of TFNN.com today.
with the launch of Tiger TV. TFNN has brought our programming to the next level. With Tiger TV, you can gain access to each host's charts and computer screens as they host their daily stock program. Whether it's Tom O'Brien, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, David White, Larry Pezzamento, Andy Hecht, Victor Jones, or Terrell Martin, you can catch all of our technicians hosting their programs live and archived on Tiger TV for your viewing pleasure 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you haven't checked out Tiger TV, then visit TFNN.com and see what you're missing.
You take a hands-on approach to managing your investments. And whether you're bullish or bearish on U.S. Treasuries, the ETFs from Direction Shares are there to help you magnify your perspective. Bull ETFs for a rising market and bear ETFs for a falling market. Direction Shares gives you the tools for both sides of the trade. Discover how we can help at DirectionShares.com today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction Shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction Shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction Shares at 800-851-0511. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors employing dynamic strategies. Investors in the fund should understand the consequences of seeking daily investment results, understand the risk of shorting, and intend to actively monitor and manage their investments. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen live during those shows, and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com.
McEwen Mining is a high-growth, mid-tier producer in the Americas with a market capitalization of $1 billion. Experienced mining executive Rob McEwen, as chairman, CEO, and president, owns 25% of the outstanding shares of McEwen Mining and has put in place an ambitious business plan with the goal of qualifying for inclusion in the S&P 500 by 2015. With $70 million in cash and liquid assets as of the end of 2012 and completely debt-free, McEwen Mining is poised for growth. Production in 2013 is forecasted to grow at 24%, reaching 130,000 gold equivalent ounces. And over the next 3 years, McEwen Mining projects that their production will increase to 290,000 gold equivalent ounces, almost a threefold increase from last year's totals. If you'd like to find out more about McEwen Mining, click on their banner on the front page of TFNN.com or check them out on the NYSE or TSX under the symbol MUX.
Dave takes your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
A shot over the bow. We've got a lot of these super rich guys, and got a little bit more of that last night. Of course, Daniel Loeb took out of Yahoo yesterday. He was kind of in the news. And we've got the whole Carl Icahn issue with him trying to engineer a short squeeze in Herbalife. And he made this public last night to the gentleman on the opposite side of that short squeeze. And it came through the Bloomberg terminal. New HLF product, which of course is Herbalife. The Herbalife Enema, administered by Uncle Carl. So Carl Icahn getting his due. HLF up pretty decently since this short started. I think that that's not Dan Loeb. What is it? I'll think of the guy's name in a minute. But I think he's short somewhere around $42 to $45 HLF. And Carl's been doing pretty good. He been making a lot of money. Let's see, days range. It's up at about 49.03. Is that correct? Herbalife. They did get it up yesterday, up around 60. Is that right? 62, yeah. Maybe something's not right here. I'm looking at this. It's $49. Okay. Let's take a look at a 5-day chart here real quick. Okay, 50. Yeah, that's right. For some reason, I was getting an old quote. $57 down, $2.37.09. Was up to $62 yesterday as they were pushing the short squeeze. Got a little lower today, so he's off probably about 20 cents or 20% right now. Maybe somebody in the den, Legionella. Thanks, somebody in the den actually put the name of the bacteria in there. Dan Loeb is the one guy. I'm trying to remember the other guy's name. That is a short Herbalife right now. But very interesting. Trying to engineer that short squeeze, I have a feeling a lot of people were piggybacking on that short, but he had a huge position, and it's, about $1 billion worth short at, I think, $47. So he's up, $9 right now, but was as high as $12 earlier in the morning. So we'll take a look at this. But my guess is the Department of Justice is still looking at whether or not Herbalife is a Ponzi scheme and declaring it that. But nice little move off here, $5 off the high of this morning. Suggests that we did probably have a little bit of a short squeeze moving on, and it's probably over now. Other things in the news of interest yesterday, we talked about the problem that airlines were having and the Air Force retaining pilots. And just out overnight, they are going to start offering and guaranteeing a $225,000 signing bonus, $25,000 a year for 9 years if you will re-up right now as a fighter pilot. So kind of interesting that we have it. And part of the issue was, if you were following the show yesterday, was the change in the FAA's plan. You used to only have to have 250 hours to be a co-pilot, and they, I think, are moving that up on the bigger planes to 1,500 hours. Of course, the only people that have that kind of time are either airline pilots that have flown small planes for 10 years and are probably never going to be big plane pilots, and people in the Air Force and Navy. 9 years, $25,000 a year. Probably being in the Air Force, probably not a bad gig. But they would still make more going to work for an airline. I suspect that will put some drag on airline stocks in the coming years as they have to pay pilots more. Trying to think what else was going on out here of interest. Art Cashin is pushing somewhat of a conspiracy theory. If you listen to the Tom O'Brien show yesterday, there is a bit of issue with the way Goldman Sachs has been accused of price fixing in the aluminum market. There's a little bit of talk from Art Cashin that the same thing is happening in the gold market over the last few days. Anyway, we'll talk about that when we come back. 877-927-6648.
With the stock market flirting with all-time highs and volatility back, now is the perfect time for a 2-week free trial to Market Insights. On Monday, June 24th, Tom O'Brien closed out all 5 open positions in his daily newsletter, Market Insights, with all trades being profitable and ranging from a 2.23% gain all the way to more than an 11% gain in just one position for an incredible 32.7% profit combined between the 5 trades. Let Tom O'Brien's years of market experience work for you. If you'd like to see for yourself what kind of trading newsletter Tom O'Brien delivers to his clients each morning, then now is a perfect time to sign up for a 2-week free trial to his daily newsletter, Market Insights. In a volatile market like we currently have, the potential for fast market moves like we've seen recently is a trader's dream. So don't wait any longer. Sign up for your 2-week free trial to Market Insights today at the front page of TFNN.com.
No matter where you listen to TFNN programming, we want you to know you can always access your favorite shows on demand through TFNN.com. TFNN airs live programming every market day from 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. Eastern, and you can view each program by accessing Tiger TV through our homepage. We even have an easy link for all mobile devices, including iPhones and iPads, located at the top right-hand corner of the TFNN homepage. You can use your smartphone to view Tiger TV, but if you don't have a mobile connection that can keep up with streaming live video, then you can simply visit TFNN.mobi in the browser of your smartphone for live streaming audio of all of our programs. The mission of TFNN is to educate our audience directly and interactively through our interactive website and radio call and talk shows. TFNN is able to teach all levels of investors the technical skills needed to trade in today's marketplace. In order to get the best information possible, TFNN has assembled the most respected financial minds in the country to provide the most current news and comprehensive advice available. TFNN.com. Educating investors.
Daryl Martin coined the phrase diagnostic trading, and we're happy to announce that his diagnostic box spread analyzer has finally been released. The Diagnostic Box Spread Analyzer helps you easily identify the best box spreads on Nadex in seconds, plus you receive access to the diagnostic deviation levels, as well as step-by-step training videos teaching you how to trade Nadex spreads so you can quickly master the mechanics of this simple yet powerful trading instrument. By pulling live data from the Nadex exchange, the Diagnostic Box Spread Analyzer does all the math for you, calculating risk, reward potential, distance to break even for both outright spreads and spreads used to hedge the underlying market. Visit the front page of TFNN.com today to get your 2-week free trial to Daryl Martin's Diagnostic Box Spread Analyzer and gain access to the valuable information it can provide when trading the Nadex box spreads. Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's Nadex.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
This segment is brought to you by Harmony Gold. For more information, just click the Harmony Gold banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Of course, after the bell tonight, we've got some big earnings. One of them is going to be Apple. And, of course, market's kind of moving sideways on that news today. So I can't think that you can make a lot of hay out of the market today. And probably a little, we got maybe a couple of things out here. Herbalife's still headed down. Anyway, we've got this thing really set up to at least go back and test the 385.10 low. Tried to test it at 388 with just 1 million shares less, 21 million to 20 million shares. So as far as I can tell, this really has a nice setup to go out and try and test that low. I suspect that if it's going to test it, it is going to test it rather sooner rather than later. Of course, they've got the new iPhone out, and I suspect when that ships, whenever it is, late this fall, that we'll have a ramp-up after that. I just dislike the fact that it still came down on volume. Granted, the volume was 1 million shares less, but that's what, less than 5% less? Yeah, something like that, 4% less. And, of course, it didn't pierce and break the bottom. Of course, we want it to prove the point. We want it to go through the lower price point. We want it then to close back higher and always remain with a lighter volume. 1 million shares is just not enough for me to declare that Apple has made a bottom. And I suspect that if they do change their forecast tonight, we could see that 385 and or lower numbers out here. But not a lot of energy to drive this thing below 385, so I think that would have to be a tough sell. Maybe they just go sideways like a lot of other stocks here at this point. But that's probably going to be what's driving this market through mostly tomorrow. Other things in the news I just wanted to bring up. SEC has charged a Texas man with running a Bitcoin Ponzi scheme. And I've kind of warned everybody about getting into these Ponzi schemes, but it certainly is an issue. This guy had actually was borrowing them and paying 7% weekly interest based on the Bitcoin market arbitrage activity, buy Bitcoin off the radar, a bunch of really kind of questionable business things. Basically, he had huge amounts of money at any one time, but for some reason only ended up with $147,000 out of millions. Not real clear from this article about what happened, but it is interesting. But just always more warnings out there than anything else on Bitcoin. We were talking about Art Cashin, talking about kind of a gold conspiracy to parallel Goldman Sachs's alleged conspiracy to alter aluminum prices. And a lot of times you don't think, half a cent a aluminum can probably not going to make a big difference. But what was the number? 90 billion cans? Interesting. Anyway, we've got Scott from San Francisco. How you doing today, Scott?
Pretty good.
So what do you want to talk about today?
Well, I'm not going to talk about Cereplast.
About what?
I'm not going to talk about Cereplast.
Okay. I remember now. I just didn't.
Yeah.
I just sometimes the squelch on the board makes it hard sometimes to catch the first letter of what everybody's saying when they're talking to hosts here at TFNN, and that's so you get like half the word of the second part. When after people are closed for or just start talking, it takes a little while for the squelch to come out. Anyway, you want to talk about Nordic American tankers?
Yeah.
Okay. So what are you thinking about doing with this?
Well, I had bought it at 820.
Okay.
And I bailed out today at like 990.
It is a beautiful trade. I don't know what you need me.
I sold out 90%, hung in with 10% just to...
I mean, it did exactly what it was supposed to, which is come back up and try this gap that came down with monstrous volume. What date was that?
You think it'll fill that?
I think you probably got everything today you could.
Yeah.
The thing came down on... what was it? Controlled. Yeah, came down on what?
11 million.
11.7 million shares, and you got 4.2 today. Can this thing get up to 1050? Maybe, but I wouldn't be stretching it here. Do you know what the short interest is on this right now?
I do not. I don't know.
I'd have to look it up real quick, but to me, I see a lot of these stocks, and normally when you got decent short interest, these things continue to move, but we're seeing a lot of these things just pop and drop almost instantly. So they look more to me like a one-day short squeeze than anything else. I just wouldn't want to be in this thing thinking you're going to get anything more than 1050. I'd take the money. I'd take the money and run even with your last 10%. You got a great trade out of here. Go spend the money wisely or foolishly. As I used to tell my mom, I spent all my money on wine, women, and song, and I squandered the rest.
That's right.
So it is I mean, it was a nice trade. I don't know if I would have taken it. Again, that low volume $7 is still out here without a real test. And
right, yeah.
you could make a claim that the 850 low would have been where you wanted to get back in, and that it did go below that with lighter volume. But normally, if you go from 850 to $7, that pretty much discounts the $7 as a low that won't be tested. So I'm thinking that $7 is still optional for this stock to come back and be tested. The thing, kind of interesting. What, do they have earnings out today?
No. I mean, it's
Bob?
on no news, as far as I can tell.
Well, let's look at it real quick and just see.
Well, at 9 this morning, it was like, oh, it's up. That was the news.
China's negative tankers. Kramer says no marathon. Let's see if it's got something.
I see there's some later news here, but I don't.
Yeah, normally it'll be oh, okay. Kramer.
Oh, Kramer said something?
Buy it. That's why it popped.
Oh, Lord. Gotta love him.
So that's why I was going to say maybe this thing had a big short interest or something, and it probably did. And that was it. But Kramer, see, I'm looking. Why is Kramer touting Nat? That was last night. I guess he did it on his TV show last night, and that's why it popped this morning.
God bless him.
Yeah, God bless him. You got some nice money out of it. But I especially since you know that it's Kramer, I'd probably take the money and run.
Exactly.
So do you have time for another one? Sure.
Okay, MUX, McEwen Mining, sponsor on your
Yep, what's the symbol?
There. MUX.
Oh, okay.
Just wondering if this volume yesterday is enough to keep pushing this thing.
I don't think so, and here's my reasoning and why I suspect that we're probably looking at probably at least some decent pullback in the miners. You get these lows. I mean, this thing was $4.94. You got down to $1.67. Retested it with this slightly lighter volume, which is acceptable. 5.7 million shares to 5 million shares. But when we bounce out of here, normally you just don't take off. Normally you get a little bounce out of here. The other thing is, are you watching on Tiger TV?
Yes.
Okay. The other thing is that the energy down off these lows, even though the volume at the bottom was slightly lower on most of these, I see these things are still rather weak. The energy down most of the way down until you got to the low. You had a lot of people buying this thing when it tested the previous low, which is fine.
Okay, yeah.
But to me, it still looks like we're going to be probably testing that low at least one more time. I could see, I think in fact, I could see these things bouncing around these lows for another couple of months. I'd much rather be in the gold, the metal side of this business. I think we could easily see a pullback to 1275, and I think probably maybe even a little lower out here. And it not so much technical as just an issue with how many people were all saying buying gold at that $1,200 level. And to me, it was just normally there was a lot of bearishness, but I've just seen it 10 times worse. So my guess is that just on a basis of people wanting to jump off the top of the building, kind of bearishness in gold, I just haven't seen that, and I suspect we're going to get that level. And I think we were close, but everybody jumping in down here at this low at the $1,200 level, I think, suggests that we get at least one more bite at the apple, if not back at $1,275. Even if we do just a 50% retrace off those lows. So I'm thinking that I would rather wait. And I think even at 1275 could give you another test of the lows out here. Are you long this now?
Yeah, 100 shares. It's just It's just.
I just put. I don't think you're going to have any $75 down day on that, but I'd probably just continue moving your stop up on the thing. Maybe we do get a run out of this. You had a huge volume day that ended up being kind of a hammer, a inverted hammer candle. I'm not exactly sure what the whole deal on that was. I'd probably want to go back and look at that day. But you had a bunch of sellers back in that, and I dislike having hitting the low and then having massive volume that closes at the low that day. And then, you could almost make a case that was tested on the 8th with lighter volume, and then the thing took off. And I could see that, but to me, it just there doesn't really seem to be a sign of strength. And normally, until you get a sign of strength, you can have one more route back down to the bottom. I would have loved to have seen a up day with some decent volume, and I just haven't seen it yet. So, I mean, okay volume and an okay trade, but I would be just moving my stop up every day.
Yep.
I wouldn't be giving it a lot of room, because I think there's probably a 50-50 chance you get 1275 back on gold, and maybe a 25% chance you get 1200 back on gold again. And that's just on, especially when we look at some of the news out today that really showed industrial production numbers were way down, at least on the eastern seaboard. I think that was the North Carolina Fed out. I'll have to look at it again. But to me, it looks like a lot of that business, we're having a little pop here, but it looks to me like we've got one more chance, one more bite down here at the lower side. Anyway, I would say that the odds favor it, but they're not 100%.
Right. I understand that.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks
have a good one.
for the call. You too. Thanks, Scott, from San Francisco. And they always say San Francisco is the coldest town you've ever been in, and it's just that oppressive humidity. If you've ever gone to Alcatraz, the prisoners always talked about just the bone-chilling cold out there. Of course, they had radiator heat that they didn't use all that much, as far as I could tell. They said it was always cold in those, and of course, it's all concrete. Everything else, not very much warmth out there. And, you get to stare at the city. Beautiful view. Of course, you can't actually participate in it. I talked to one of the gentlemen that was actually in the prison from it was in the 50s or something. And he turned his life around and became a radiologist assistant, and married a lady, had 3 kids, got pardoned by Ronald Reagan. I'm thinking his name was Quinlan. Can't remember his first name. He actually put a nice autographed the book he was selling there, but he had already retired and stuff. I think this is probably good 10, 12 years ago. I'd be surprised if he's still around anymore, but pretty interesting. So when we're looking after the bell tonight, some of the things that we are right up against the wall is the XLE. Of course, we've gone up to the high, gone a penny over it today. Of course, we're up here at about half the volume on the XLE. Last high came in at 19 million shares. We got a whole lot less today, but even 3 days ago we had 10.6 million shares. Yesterday, 6.8. Today, 3.7 so far. Watch that XLE. We'll be back in a minute.
Patterns, profits, and peace of mind.
Are you looking for a precision edge in the market? Something that can stack the odds in your favor? Then look into Larry Pesavento's trading newsletter.
Patterns, profits, and peace of mind.
In each weekly issue, Larry explains what's going to happen in the markets based on the pattern he sees developing and gives you actionable trade ideas based on those patterns. Plus, you'll get his detailed analysis on a variety of markets and sectors, including stocks, treasury bonds, the gold market, oil, the dollar, the Forex market, and more. You'll get access to all the patterns Larry is seeing in the markets, plus the Astro Harmonics and powerful Bradley stock market model that Larry utilizes for less than $5 a day. An extremely potent combination that will give you the edge you've been looking for. Try patterns, profits, and peace of mind absolutely free for 2 full weeks. That's an $85 value. Yours free when you register right now.
Get Larry's patterns, profits, and peace of mind.
And get the edge you've been looking for.
Tom O'Brien's weekly newsletter, The Gold Report, has helped subscribers for over 10 years navigate the high-risk world of exploring and producing gold companies. And now's a great time to sign up for a free month-long trial to see the kind of insight that Tom delivers for his subscribers on a weekly basis. Every Monday, Tom O'Brien issues a quick update on the metal market, giving you his take on the HUI, XAU, GLD, dollar, bonds, and much more. Tom follows Monday's update with a full gold report, which is delivered to subscribers Tuesday afternoon with detailed coverage of 24 separate gold or metal stocks, as well as another 10 to 15 stocks that he lets you know are on his potential watch list. Get your month-long free trial to the Gold Report today by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Don't spend another year navigating the metal markets on your own. Act early in 2013 and make the most of your gold and metal market investments. David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
Nowhere, spelled N-O-W-H-E-R-E. At one point, we've all been there, whether it be our health, career, or our finances. Some might be there right now. So where are you when it comes to your trading and investing? Better yet, where would you like to be? The good news, I can take you from nowhere to now here right now. Same letters, N-O-W-H-E-R-E, just a totally different emphasis and focus. Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes with TFNN, and on July 25th at 6:30 p.m., I'm going to share with you a trading strategy that I began on May 10th when the S&P was at 1627 and closed at the same price 8 weeks later. That's right, the S&P went nowhere versus a trading strategy that produced a 100% hypothetical return in that same period of time, and it's now here for you. Subscribers to my daily newsletter service, Mastering Probability, have free access to this exciting live workshop. The trend is your friend. All the details are on the homepage of TFNN.com. Decisions shape your destiny, and your trading destiny is now here for you.
Join Andy Hecht as he teaches you how to make money in commodities. The Commodities Hour, next on TFNN.
And as we look through the rest of the day, just what do we have happening? Probably what we expected in front of a lot of these earnings. Everybody's holding their breath. We're up, half a point on the S&P cash, 2.4 billion shares. So the volume a little better than yesterday at this time. But again, probably everybody, at least on the equity side, waiting to see what is going to happen with Apple tonight. Apple's down $3.10, 6 million shares. Probably going to be a lot about I don't know, the numbers are going to be so way off as the ability for Apple to actually say what their forecast is for the next quarter. They'll probably talk about releasing a new iPhone in the fourth quarter, I think probably November or December, and get that in before the end of the year. But that's still a tough issue, let me put it that way, to get out and the rest. What else do we have out here? Wanted to look at IBM. It's up a little bit. But it's been one of the problem children. If you would have believed the earnings, this thing should have been able to take off. It got to $200, kind of just meandering down here. And I suspect that if Apple's earnings are good, maybe this thing will start moving back up higher. But at the moment, this thing really seems to be affected greatly by every other company coming out with earnings. So, to me, this thing kind of smacks of distribution since the earnings date. And very weird that this thing, if you believe the numbers, going to be very tough. But most of these companies are. Of course, when we look at the rest of earnings out here after they have reported, Microsoft pretty much stuck just below $32. Not a lot else happening out here. Certainly looks like there's several gaps just at above 30 and in the $29 range that look like this thing probably going to come back and hit. Of course, we had Intel out also with that, and a little less. This thing's actually down, and it's close enough to the volume of the July 10th low at 15 million shares. It's got 45 million shares. Last couple of days, actually had it on the 19th. Kind of light volume as it as it actually did test the low here today, but I always use the highest volume within 0.5% of looking at the energy back in here. Is there support at Intel at this level? Yes. Could an Apple miss drive this down even further? Could be. I think probably one of the other things out here is seeing that some of these new smartphones, like the one introduced from Motorola today, are using their own processors designed by ARMS Holdings. Of course, that thing has been headed down pretty decently. I think this thing is setting up on ARMS holding a ABC down, and this one would be the one that I'm watching after the bell tonight. Let's see if we can get that back up here. This thing has done a 46% retracement, and looks like it's energy. Kind of interesting out here, but a 1-to-1 would take this thing back just where this thing really started taking off, which is around the $26, $27 range from August 27th of last year. So a lot of stuff to be watching out here. I could see us making a top in ARMS Holdings with bad news from Apple, maybe some discussions about them building their own chips and not licensing from ARM anymore. Anyway, you'll have a great and safe day. We'll see you tomorrow, same bat channel, same bat time. And VIX the Trading Day says goodbye.